a retro gamer and hobbyist artist with a lot of nerve. Crolister, the master of ponage.
Hi guys, Crolister here with a thoughts and speculation video. So, yesterday from the day I record this video, we had a Pokemon Presents on the anniversary day of Pokemon Red and Green in Japan, which we call Pokemon Day, and we finally got our first official update regarding Pokemon Legends ZA and more. So, let's talk about what I think about what we saw in the present, shall we? I took a few screenshots from the Pokemon Presents that I'll be showing in this video for key points, instead of actually playing back the trailer itself for legal reasons. So, one of the first details about the Presents that we got, which is cool to know if you're into the Pokemon animation, is a new series called Pokemon Consurge, which is a claymation, like Aardman style, cartoon series about Pokemon. So if you like the Wallace and Gromit series or any other movie that's in the esque of that, like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer or Chicken Run, for example, they're making a Pokemon rendition of this. And we got to see what a few of the Pokemon will look like in the show in question, and they look highly detailed. So this will be cool if you're into the animation for Pokemon in any way. There's been quite a lot of updates regarding mobile games that currently exist. In Pokemon Go, they're doing the Black and White Kyurem event. In Pokemon Sleep, they're doing one for Cresselia and Darkrai, which is perfectly fitting for the app in question. In Pokemon Cafe Mix, they're adding the Applin line. In Pokemon Unite, Suicune is being added. And then shortly after that, they're going to add Alolan Raichu and Alchemy as playable characters. I love Alolan Raichu. Alchemy's kind of a weird choice for me, though I'm not playing any of the mobile games, so that doesn't really bother me. In Pokemon Masters, they're doing an event regarding Primal Groudon and Primal Kyogre, which is pretty neat to see as well. In Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket, they're doing an Arceus pack. And they also added Mega Lucario and Gardevoir to the trading card game events as well. And more importantly, they're adding a brand new mobile game that'll also be on the Switch as well, called Pokemon Champions. Pokemon Champions is a kind of game where you battle. You basically do normal Pokemon battles, and they're making it so that you can do this on the Switch as well as mobile devices. And you can connect it with your Pokemon Home account. And you can do double or team battles against other people. And what makes this mobile game look interesting is that Mega Evolution and Terastallizing are both going to be included. As you can see, Mega Charizard X and a Terastallized Dondozo attacking each other. While it's unclear as to whether Dynamax and Gigantamaxing will be in the game, this is for sure. The amount of Pokemon that you'll be able to use in Pokemon Champions will be limited. So there are still some Pokemon you will not be able to use on the Nintendo Switch, even through Pokemon Champions. They also made it clear in the fine print, as I'm going to call it, of the Pokemon Home details that you cannot transfer Pokemon that you naturally get in Pokemon Champions into Home. And it has also been confirmed more recently that this game will be a download-only game, not a game you can get for a game card if you're getting the Switch version, and that Nintendo Switch Online membership will be required to use the game's online features. So, ha-ha to some people. I already mentioned also that once the new console comes out, they're probably going to increase the NSO service price. So be prepared for that, and also be prepared for a lot of $70 games coming out as well. Alright, so let's talk about Pokemon Legends ZA and what we saw in the presentation. These are the protagonists of Pokemon Legends ZA. This is the girl, and this is the boy. For some reason, the boy, to me, looks a lot like Professor Sycamore, the professor from the Kalos region. And I know it's not true, because the characters are said to have moved into Lumio City as part of the game and are living there in order to help with the urban development plan that Lumio City is to be undergoing, which I'll talk a little bit more about up ahead. So, the starter Pokemon, this is a pretty interesting choice indeed, and one nobody was expecting after all the leaks that turned out to be fake. In Pokemon Legends Arceus, the starters were Rowlet, Grass type, Cyndaquil, Fire type, and Oshawott, Water type. Randomly selected fan-favorite starter Pokemon from different generations. And we knew the Legends games after that were going to pick different Pokemon from different generations for its starters as well. Although I know for a fact nobody was really expecting these ones to be picked in question. We got Chikorita for the Grass type, we got Tepig for the Fire type, and we got Totodile for the Water type. What makes this a little perplexing to some is the fact that Chikorita and Totodile are both from the same generation, the Johto generation. And then Tepig is a pretty controversial pick as well, because Emboar is like the most unpopular starter Pokemon, and for good reasons. And I dislike it as well for the same reason. I hate that they triple repeated the Fire and Fighting dual type with the middle evolution, and Emboar itself is just ugly. And not that great, also. Oh well. We'll see if a regional variant will help it out at all. It didn't help Samurott that much, in my opinion. And I regret picking Oshawott as my starter for my Arceus playthrough, because it's statistically the worst of the starters for a Hisui playthrough, and all the attacks it must use for research have a chance of missing. I should have picked Typhlosion, even though I freaking hate Typhlosion. That Pokemon's criminally overrated. I'm sorry. However, I love Totodile. I love Feraligatr. So to see Totodile get treatment like Cyndaquil did eventually, and then Chikorita did as well, it's fair play. All three of the Johto starters have some kind of special gimmick. Presumably all of them be a regional variant, because if they were to have Mega Evolutions, the fact that Meganium and Feraligatr would and Typhlosion wouldn't would be a little weird to some people, since Typhlosion is the most popular Johto starter. And regional variants are more permanent than Mega Evolution, so I think a regional variant for these three would make more sense than an actual Mega. That's my personal take. In the event that I decide to play Pokemon Legends ZA for myself, I'm definitely going to be choosing Totodile. Because I do love the Totodile line, and I usually pick the water starter for playthroughs at first anyway. Just a habit I have. So, that's pretty exciting. Some people might not like this choice. I like it a lot, personally. There are also several scenes in the game that look pretty interesting, like elevators that take you up to the skyscraper, and then you're literally double jumping across buildings with the help of a Rotom phone to glide across the other side. So, they did say this will be the most ambiguous mainline game yet before, and I can kind of see where they're getting at here. You're going to have movement options you never had in a Pokemon game before that surpass even Arceus. We already knew that Mega Evolution would be returning, and it's thoroughly confirmed. The first Mega Evolution Pokemon they confirmed would be Lucario. They also showed a lot of other Pokemon from the previous games that already had a Mega Evolution without revealing any new ones. There were only a couple I recall that debuted in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, those being Sableye and Altaria. And Charizard, both X and Y, is the only starter Pokemon with a Mega Evolution currently confirmed to be in the game. Very, very unfortunate news for people that share my opinion that I have about Typhlosion, about Charizard. Some people really do hate Charizard for overrepresentation. I like Charizard, though it is overrated, and I hate how he is in Super Smash Bros. So, like it or hate it, Charizard is gonna be in ZA. And lots of other Mega Evolutions from the past. Kangaskhan, Ampharos, Gardevoir, Absol, lots of different ones for the past going on. Not sure if they're going to add any new Mega Evolutions or not, so we'll just have to wait and see. And of course, Zygarde, the main legendary of the game, will be making an appearance as well. They show a 10% Zygarde, which is the little dog form, straight up in the trailer, and the official website confirms that the Serpent 50% form and the Golem complete form will be in the game as well. And if I were to guess, you'll probably have a side quest where you collect Zygarde cells and cores, much like you have in Pokemon Sun and Moon. They kind of foreshadowed that at the end of the overview trailer as well, which I'll show as well. This is what a Pokemon Center will look like in ZA. Now, Pokemon Legends Arceus was set in the past. Like, the real feudal past. Like, more than 100 years ago. And by default, people thought that the other Legends games would also be set in the past. However, Pokemon Legends ZA has been confirmed to be set in the future, which, by the way, I called. In my original thoughts on ZA after it was just announced, where I had Nathan Greninja and Alistair Zoroark, a couple of my OCs talking about it, or was it the one with Orin, the Lucario, one or the other or both, I mentioned that the game would actually probably be set in the future rather than the past. I also correctly called that we would not be getting a Nintendo Direct Mini during February, just because the new console was announced, despite what insiders were straining. So you have to give me some credit, people. I'm smart. I know what to speculate, usually. And while the city is not futuristic at the level of what you would see in sci-fi movies, it does have holograms for statues. Like, you can kind of see a Revive there next to the Pokemon Center. And holographs of people communicating with each other, kind of like the hologram feature they had in X and Y that Team Flare used to spy on you. So, yeah, this game is set in the future. To go into further detail, Lumio City has become a place where humans and wild Pokemon coexist with each other. Some parts of the city have become overgrown with wildlife taking over parts of it, and that's where the wild Pokemon will appear. And your goal in the game is to do an urban redevelopment plan so that the city can become a perfect place for humans and wild Pokemon both to coexist together. Like you can kind of see with the development buildings in the background. I also want to point out from the first video I made as well last year that Watchog, which was a Pokemon that didn't appear in X and Y, that was not available in any of the current Switch games, is going to be in Pokemon Legends ZA, as you can clearly see a Patrat right here. So that pretty much leaves the Simiktrio, and the fact that Spinda is still completely unusable in Pokemon Home, even through Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Seriously, ILCA, are you really that bad at developing games? These are your rivals in Pokemon Legends ZA. You got Urbane, the male rival, and Tawny, the female rival. And as you can see at the top, which one you encounter in the game will depend based on, quote, your appearance. Likely meaning which gender you play as for your character. If you're a boy, you'll meet Tawny, and if you're a girl, you'll meet Urbane, so to say. AZ, a character that originally appeared in X and Y, will be in this game as well. If you recall from the tragic story that he had in Pokemon X and Y about the whole situation with the Team Flare weapon with him and his Floette, he has eternal life and claims to be 3,000 years old. He's also super tall. And come to the events of Pokemon Legends ZA, he's going to be the owner of the hotel that you live in and conduct your research in during the game. The Eternal Flower Floette, which is his Floette, will also be making an appearance. And if you may recall, the Eternal Flower Floette was supposed to be an event distribution Pokemon during X and Y that was never released, and it even has its own signature move, and cannot evolve. So there's a pretty decent chance that the Eternal Flower Floette could possibly be an obtainable Pokemon via gift after you beat the game perchance. It was almost impossible not to shed tears over the incredible reunion with AZ and the Floette at the end of X and Y, so, just a little thought I'd add there as well. This is Quasardigo Incorporated, which is a mysterious organization that'll exist in Pokemon Legends ZA. Whether it's the organization you work for or the Sinister organization, we'll have to wait and see for more details. These are its employees, Vinny and Jet, and these people look sus to me. Like, Vinny could possibly be the antagonist of the game. Kind of like Chairman Rose turned out to be in Sword and Shield, which didn't surprise me at all. So, they also had a foreshadowing about this organization at the end of the overview trailer. So it could be sus as well. We'll just have to wait and see. Here's how the wild Pokemon is going to work in the game. The city is split up into zones for humans and zones for wild Pokemon. The wild Pokemon zones are called Wild Zones, and are represented by a gate you walk through with a number on them representing what area they're in question, and have these retro Pokemon gym statues on them. In the Wild Zones is where you'll encounter the wild Pokemon throughout the game. The encounter mechanic will work like it does in Pokemon Legends Arceus, where you can just sneak up on Pokemon and hit them with a Pokeball, and optionally battle them to weaken them, and make them easier to catch, though some Pokemon will run away as soon as they see you, and in Arceus, those Pokemon would run away even if you try to battle them, and would refuse to move in between turns if they stick around, making some of them annoying to catch. Just remember that the Pokeballs will be like traditional series Pokeballs in this game, and not a retro variant like Arceus had, since this is a game set in the future. Now, here's what really gets interesting. Pokemon Legends ZA is going to use an entirely different kind of battle mechanic for Pokemon battles, even for trainer battles. Instead of the traditional turn-based mechanic, this game will be using what we see right here down here that I typed, and be more like a Final Fantasy game. Like, for example, in Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth, you have roleplay game-like battle mechanics, except you run around and are able to dodge moves like you can in a normal action game, while using your moves based on some kind of limitation mechanic to attack the opponent and try to land hits on them. That's going to be what Pokemon Legends ZA is going to do. For example, in the rival battle, where you and your friend/rival battle each other, and it looks like they'll pick the starter that has the type disadvantage to yours, you can actually run around with your Pokemon, and in fact make them follow you to dodge enemy attacks. Instead of power points, you also have unlimited uses of moves, and you have to wait for the move to cool down before you can use it again. Stronger moves will take longer to cool down than weaker moves. And your moves are shown in the lower right corner, and you'll be able to use them once they become available throughout the fight. So the fact that you can actually dodge attacks simply by moving in this game is going to make this game by far the most interesting to see how Pokemon battles really work in the game. By far. You can also see some Pokemon Legends Arceus-like elements during the gameplay scenes of wild Pokemon, and a similar symbol with the red eye will appear if a wild Pokemon is attacking you, which will prevent you from being able to fly away and stuff. And I'm guessing that you can take hits in it as well, and that you'll black out if you take a lot of hits at once. Same as with that game. So this is a very interesting new addition indeed. Then down here in the corner, you can see a Zygarde cell lopping around, which semi-confirms that a feature like the Zygarde Cube will also be returning. So, yeah. So, when I think of Pokemon Legends ZA, it's definitely going to be one of the most ambiguous games in the series based on what we saw so far, without a doubt. I was surprised to see that Totodile was actually the one starter in one league that I did talk about that turned out to be fake, that actually did get chosen, and that we got Tepig instead of Snivy, and that Chikorita got chosen as well. We weren't expecting that at all. So as a big Totodile fan, I will be very interested to see what Lumiosian Feraligatr looks like. I shouldn't technically say Colossian because the entire game is set in Lumio City, not the entire Kalos region, as it was confirmed before. So, I'll look into news updates for Pokemon Legends ZA, and I will share my thoughts to them as they come. Alright, so, one final update before I get to the end screen and wrap up the video. As I wrote on my community, on my YouTube channel earlier, I had to leave DeviantArt due to a security issue where I randomly got claimed on one picture, and the only way that I could see what picture got claimed was to open a file that contained a threat. And that's just proof that DeviantArt is not a good website for social media interfacing. And getting buried up to my neck with ridiculous fetishy requests every single day and all that was a little much for me to handle. And a site like that's just going to be bad for my health completely. I would rather try to grow my YouTube channel than put up with that crap any longer. So even though I was so close to 500 watchers, I am going to throw it all away. It's for the good of all. You can't mess with legal and security issues. At least YouTube actually tells you if you break copyright rules, and you can take action there and then. DeviantArt, for some reason, wants to get people viruses for breaking the rules. And I can't see what I did wrong. I always put copyright disclosures in my stuff. So I'm definitely not going to do DeviantArt anymore moving forward. I was sad about it. I did shed some tears, though it is for the good of all. On the positive side, I will still be doing fan art for YouTube. I can make very simple videos just showing off some of my fan art while I talk and give a description of the picture. So maybe I'll start doing that, and that'll give me a reason to upload more consistently as well, if you like my art style. So, though I hate to say goodbye on the social media site, I have to do what I have to do for my safety. At least I'll still be doing YouTube. So with that is going to wrap up this video. Like I said, I do a lot of fan art franchises I like Pokemon. And we'll do fan art of some other stuff like that as well. So consider subscribing if you like that. And also be sure to check out some of my Let's Play videos of Namco arcade games and plenty more, based on what I have listed here. There are some other retro games I may end up trying out as well, like on the NSO apps that I might do here and there. So I have quite a lot planned for my channel. I also have a fun idea for a Super Smash Bros. Video involving my amiibo that I plan to finalize very shortly. So stay tuned for that if you like Smash. And I might even talk about thoughts on Smash 6 as well up ahead. Alright, so that's what you can look forward to if you're new to my content. And I'll be sure to bring out at least weekly. So until my next upload, I am Crolister. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.